But even Weight Watchers is out of style because now we've given up on the idea that obesity is something that can be contained by exercise and diet. It's now a disease.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these new drugs they have.
Ozempic and things like
Ozempic.
that. Yeah.
I was reading about Ozempic. I didn't know this until recently. They have zero clue why it works. They know that it works, just not why. This would bother me a little, you know.
It should.
That if they're giving me something and they're like, hey, this new miracle pill, just take it. We're working on the reason why it might do this to you, but until then, just fuck it.
There's no biological free lunch either. I have friends that are on that stuff, and one friend who just got off of it because he was having some serious gastrointestinal issues that are apparently one of the side effects. There's no free lunch. If you're taking an injection that makes you less hungry, something's going on. That's probably not good.
Yes.
And you're also losing a lot of connective tissue, bone mass, and muscle mass. My good friend Peter Attia did a study on his patients. He's a doctor. He did a study on patients that took Ozempic, and one of the things that they found is they lost weight, but they gained fat. They were actually had a higher percentage of body fat because they were primarily losing muscle tissue and connective tissue. They were losing so much of that even though they lost like 20 pounds, they actually went from like 15% body fat to maybe 20% body fat or whatever the number was.
But what I find the most alarming is the way, in just a matter of a few years, the group think that this is a disease now that cannot be controlled by what for 50, 100, a million years before this, it was the scientific consensus that, of course, you can control it with diet and exercise. Just in a couple of years, that went out the window. And you cannot find an article on the front page or in the op-ed page of the New York Times in the last couple of years that has any other belief than this one, that it is a disease, it is not within a person's control. So they're all in on Ozempic or whatever else because we certainly can't leave this to people themselves to control it. That's a giant sea change, and the way they sheep-like just go right in a row.
Yeah.
No dissent. Not one person standing up in the paper of record to say, wait a second, this can't really be the case. I mean, 50 years ago, we looked like a completely different people.
Yeah.
Why is it the case? In 50 years, did we evolve in 50 years, human beings? Was cake not delicious in 1969? I think it was, and yet somehow people resisted it.
Well, there's a lot of diet changes for sure, and I think one of the things about the narrative, there was a lot of influence by vested interests. Like, I'm sure you know about the 1950s, I believe it was, where the sugar industry paid off scientists.
Of course.
To
Yes.
to put the blame on saturated fat, and it changed people's eating.
And corn.
Corn.
They changed what the sugar came from because they had too much corn because they subsidized it.
Yeah.
So let's make sugar out of corn, which is not really what you should be making.
Right.
I mean, cane sugar is not great for you either, but it's better than corn. You see the obesity rates go up as corn syrup. But it's still within someone's power to turn it down. You're not helpless.
There's plenty of people out there that have done it too that you can get examples from. I mean, especially in this day and age with YouTube and these social media influencers that have lost a ton of weight, some of those people have gone on diets and lost 150 pounds, and they'll tell you how they did it. And you can get inspiration from them.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's doable. But it's not easy. And the idea of calling it a disease, it's interesting because we kind of agree alcoholism is a disease. But it is similar. Because you are addicted to food. Like, people are absolutely addicted to food, especially high fructose corn syrup products and things where there's like, you're getting that big sugar rush and the insulin spikes. And
well, they do this in the lab, I mean, they have all these food companies. All these food companies have labs where they go in and they test how much fat and sugar and salt we can put in this thing to make it as addictive as possible. You know, they don't want you to just eat one, that old Lay's potato. You bet you can't eat. They want you to have the whole bag and then start another bag.
Yeah.